Thus I began my new life.
A place of light and beauty and music.
This music is magical.
What style music is it?
Meaningwave.
Broadcasting live from the peak of recorded human civilization. You're listening to Akira The Don.
It was a new life for me.
Let me try from the first to indicate the point that we're aiming at. The point is this, that human consciousness is at the same time as being a form of awareness and sensitivity and understanding. It's also a form of ignorance. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. And because of this, it leaves out things that are terribly important. It leaves out things that would, if we did know them, allay our anxieties and fears and horrors. And if we could extend our awareness, you see, to include those things that we leave out, we would have a deep interior peace. Because we would all know the one thing that you mustn't know. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more, according to the rules of our particular social game. The one thing you mustn't know, that's really not allowed, that is the lowdown on life. And the lowdown, on the one hand, means the real dirt on things. But the lowdown is also what is profound, what is mysterious, what is in the depths. And there's something left out. And our everyday consciousness screens this out in the same way that when you say you have weaving, you have, say, on this rug here in front of us, when the black finishes here, the black threads will go underneath and then appear again over here, then they'll go underneath the white and then they'll appear again over here, so that the back will be the obverse pattern of the front. Now, the world is like that. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. Our sense organs are selective. They pick out certain things. They're receptive. For example, we have a small band, what you might call a spectrum of light, of sound, of tactile sensation, and so on, to which the human organism is sensitive. But we know that outside that small band, there is a huge range of vibrations to which we have built instruments that are sensitive. Things like cosmic rays, ultraviolet rays, gamma rays, hard X-rays, and so on. They're all outside the band of our spectrum. And obviously, there are things that are outside the range of our instruments. We may build new instruments someday which will evoke, bring into our consciousness other orders of vibration altogether, but yet, as yet, we don't know about. So you could imagine, you see, the universe is a vast system of vibrations. And has infinite possibilities. The ordinary, everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary, everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary, everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in. The ordinary, everyday consciousness that we have leaves out more than it takes in.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Pain. Pain. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Pain. Pain. You've heard of animals chewing off a leg to escape a trap? That's an animal kind of trick. A human would remain in the trap, endure the pain, feigning death that he might kill the trapper and remove a threat to his kind. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To determine if you're human, be silent. It burns. Silence. His world emptied of everything except the hand immersed in agony. He thought he could feel skin curling black on that agonized hand, the flesh crisping and dropping away until only charred bones remained. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Pain. Pain. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Pain. Pain.
One thing I wanted to say is don't be fooled by the internet. Don't be fooled by the internet. It's cool to get on the computer, but don't the computer get on you. It's cool to use the computer. Don't let the computer use you. You all saw the Matrix. You all saw the Matrix. There's a war going on from the battlefields in the mind, and the prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. There's a war going on from the battlefields in the mind, and the prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. Battlefields in the mind, and the prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. There's a war going on from the battlefields in the mind, and the prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. The prize is the soul. So, be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
But the path
Be careful.
you must tread to new life will not be easy.
The facts, Captain. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Existence cannot be without them. What do you mean, Spock? Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Existence cannot be without them. Physical reality is consistent with universal law. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. There is no reality. There is no reality. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. Doctor, in your opinion, what killed Mr. Chekhov? A piece of lead in his body. Wrong. His mind killed him. Come on, Spock, if you've got the answer, tell us. Physical reality is consistent with universal law. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. All of this is unreal. What do you mean unreal? I examined Chekhov. He's dead. But you made your examination under conditions which we cannot trust. We judge reality by the response of our senses. Once we are convinced of the reality of a given situation, we abide by its rules. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Existence cannot be without them. Physical reality is consistent with universal law. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. There is no reality. There is no reality. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. We judge the bullets to be solid, the guns to be real. Therefore, they can kill. Chekhov is dead because he believed the bullets would kill him. He may indeed be dead. We do not know. But we do know that the Melkotians created the situation. If we do not allow ourselves to believe that the bullets are real, they cannot kill us. Exactly. I know the bullets are unreal. Therefore, they cannot harm me. I know the bullets are unreal. Therefore, they cannot harm me. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Existence cannot be without them. Physical reality is consistent with universal law. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. There is no reality. There is no reality. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. Physical laws simply cannot be ignored. Where the laws do not operate, there is no reality. as certain as you are, Mr. Spock, if we're to save our lives. Precisely. That's not possible. There'll always be some doubt. The smallest doubt would be enough to kill you.
I started to feel that I may have discovered the user interface for reality.
Akira.
The Don. The reason that I thought that is that my life was working out so well that I couldn't explain it in any ordinary way. I tried to become a cartoonist with no experience in cartooning, without any experience. I was the hottest cartoonist in the country. At about the same time, I had written my first book. It was a #1 New York Times runaway bestseller, with no experience at writing books. And there were a number of things that I was touching and doing, and it seemed as if I could manipulate reality. But here's the thing. Was I manipulating reality to get these ridiculous results? Or was I simply good at my job? How can I tell? How would I know if I were manipulating reality, because that's sort of what it felt like, but that didn't seem right? Or was I just good at my job and I didn't realize how good I was, so I performed better than I expected? Maybe. Could be. It's possible. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. And it seemed as if I could manipulate reality. But I wanted to test it. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. And so in 1997, I did a bold experiment. And the experiment was this. I very publicly and annoyingly made a prediction. And I chose an area in which I had no expertise. I thought I would try something that was just impossible. I would make the most unlikely prediction and then wait as long as it took for it to become true. And if indeed I could hit the most unlikely prediction, then maybe other people would believe me when I explained to them the user interface for reality. I predicted that in my lifetime, the theory of evolution would be debunked in scientific terms, not in religious terms, but in scientific terms. You can imagine how well that went over. Obviously, I'm a nut, and I should not be listened to, and you shouldn't listen to anything else I ever say. That was 22 years ago, 23 years ago. So something happened today that was a very big deal in my life. And it was that there was a podcast, Patrick Urelshi, and he told the story he heard of my prediction about evolution being debunked. And then he brought the story into the question of the simulation. Now, of course, if the simulation is true, then what we believe about evolution probably isn't. Because you don't need evolution if you have the simulation. We just are here, and our history is created on demand whenever we go looking for it. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. And it seemed as if I could manipulate reality. But I wanted to test it. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. What Patrick did is told you something that I couldn't do myself. I couldn't tell you that my prediction had actually came in. I've been trying to, but I feel like I had failed at it because I'm not credible about judging my own prediction. Obviously, I have a stake in it. If the simulation is true, evolution isn't. So 22 years later, there's now a competing theory that serious scientists buy into. And although you can't tell which one is the true one, if either one is, maybe neither, maybe they're just filters, what you can tell is the odds. Maybe 1 billion to 1 for the simulation. it seemed as if I could manipulate reality. But I wanted to test it. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. So, having nailed my 22-year gamble that I could make a prediction so unlikely that the best explanation is that somehow I'm authoring the reality just as a filter. Again, that doesn't mean that I can actually change reality. It means that if I put that filter on it, I get good results. And if you just think you're happy but you're not, are you happy? Yes, you are. If you think you're happy, you're happy. If you thought you went through life as a billionaire, but you were just crazy and you weren't, still good? Still good, because you're happy. You thought you were a billionaire. So accept your subjective life. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. Maybe. Could be. It's possible. And it seemed as if I could manipulate reality. But I wanted to test it. Maybe. Could be. It's possible.
No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. We're here to talk about wealth creation. That has to be your number one priority. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. So you just have to set a very high personal hourly rate, and you have to stick to it. Since when I was young, I decided that I was worth a lot more than the market thought I was worth. But I started treating myself that way. So always factor your time into every decision. How much time does it take? Oh, it's gonna take me an hour to get across town to get this thing. Well, I value myself at $100 an hour. That's basically throwing $100 out of my pocket. Am I gonna do that? You buy something from Amazon, they screwed it up, you have to return it. Is it worth your time to return it? Is it worth the mental hassle? Keep in mind that you have less work hours, you have less mentally high output hours. Do you want to use them to run errands and solve little problems, or do you want to save them for the big stuff? All the great scientists were terrible at managing their household life. None of them had a clean, organized room, or made all their social events on time, or sent their thank you cards. You can spend your life however you want. But if you want to get rich, it has to be your number one overwhelming desire, which means that it has to come before anything else. Which means you can't be penny pinching. You can penny pinch your way to a basic sustenance. You can keep your expenses low, maybe retire early and not spend too much, and that's perfectly valid. But we're here to talk about wealth creation. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. We're here to talk about wealth creation. That has to be your number one priority. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. So fast forward to your wealthy self and pick some intermediate hourly rate. For me, believe it or not, back when you could have hired me, my hourly rate, I used to say to myself over and over, it's $5,000 an hour. Today, when I look back, really it was about $1,000 an hour. And of course, I still ended up doing stupid things like arguing with the electrician or returning the broken speaker, but I shouldn't have. And I did a lot less than any of my friends would. And I would make a theatrical show out of throwing something in the trash pile or giving it to Salvation Army rather than trying to return it, or handing something to people rather than trying to fix it. I would argue with my girlfriends, and even today to my wife. I don't do that. That's not a problem that I solve. I still argue that with my mother when she hands me like little to-dos. I just don't do that. I would rather hire you an assistant. And this was true even when I didn't have money. And This was true even when I didn't have money. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. We're here to talk about wealth creation. That has to be your number one priority. No one is going to value you more than you value yourself. Another way of thinking about something is that if you can outsource something or not do something for less than your hourly rate, outsource it or don't do it. Outsource it or don't do it. So if you can hire someone to do it for less than your hourly rate, hire them. And that even includes things like cooking. You may want to eat your healthy home-cooked meals, but if you can outsource it, do that instead. And I know some people will say, well, what about the joy of life and what about getting it right just your way? Sure, you can do that, but you're not going to be wealthy because now you've made something else a priority. Paul Graham basically said it pretty well. You should be working on your product, and you should be exercising and eating healthy. That's all you have time for while you're on this mission. So set a very high hourly aspirational rate for yourself and stick to it. And it should seem and feel absurdly high. If it doesn't, it's not high enough. To you would be raise it. And whatever you picked, my advice to you would be raise it.
So in the same way, we find that the watching self, or the observing self, behind all our thoughts and feelings, is itself a thought. That is to say, when the police enter a house in which there are thieves, the thieves go up from the ground floor to the first floor. When the police arrive on the first floor, the thieves have gone up to the second, and so to the third, and finally out to the roof. And so when the ego is about to be unmasked, it immediately identifies with the higher self. It goes up a level. Because the religious game is simply a refined and highbrow version of the ordinary game. How can I outwit me? How can I one-up me? So, if I find, for example, that in the quest for pleasure, the ordinary pleasures of the world, food, sex, power, food, sex, power, all this becomes a drag, and I think, no, it isn't there, so I go in for the arts, literature, poetry, music, and I absorb myself in those pleasures, food, sex, power, and I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, those pleasures, food, sex, power, and I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, food, sex, power, literature, poetry, music, food, sex, power. And after a while, they aren't the answer. So I go to psychoanalysis. And then I found out that's not the answer. I go to religion. But I'm still seeking what I was seeking when I wanted candy bars. I want to get that goodie. Only I see now that, of course, it's not going to be a material goodie. all material goodies fall apart. But maybe there's a spiritual goodies that's not going to fall apart. But in that quest, the quest is not different from the quest for the candy bar. Same old story. Only you've refined the candy bar and made it abstract and holy and blessed and so on. So it is with the higher self. The higher self's your old ego. And you sure hope it is eternal. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, those pleasures. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, those pleasures. Food, sex, power. I absorb myself in literature, poetry, music, those pleasures. Food, sex, power.
He realized within a human body he had a chance for a new life.
There's somebody out here watching this right now. You might be watching it live, or somebody might be showing it to you.
But I'm kind of talking to you directly. You're feeling super lonely. You might be addicted, and you're trying to figure out a way out. And you're thinking, what the hell do I do? I'm trapped, I'm lonely, and maybe addicted, and I have low self-esteem. And all these people who are doing better than me are beating up on me and they're controlling me. Their opinions are actually just breaking my brain. I can't stop thinking about what they said about me. Is that you? Yeah, that is you. I'm gonna give you at least a few tricks. This will just be a start. It's not gonna fix anybody instantly. But I'll give you a few tricks for escaping that, okay? Some brain hacks, some life hacks. It goes like this. Number one, always remember the basket case theory. That's trick one. Everybody's broken. Always remember the basket case theory. No complete people, just broken people. Always remember the basket case theory. That's trick one. Everybody's broken. They are just completely broken. And you should have pity on them. The person who's talking to you and is insulting you, they're broken. Did you say to yourself, oh my goodness, somebody who's normal is criticizing me? Do you know how many times that's happened? How many times has a person who's got it together and they're normal and they're criticizing you? How many times has that ever happened? Do you think a lot? Because the answer is zero. It's never happened. Nobody who has their act together is criticizing you in cruel ways. But you are getting criticized in cruel ways. You're being judged, not by good people. You're being judged by thoroughly broken people who are acting out. They're taking out their pain on you. If you imagine that they're complete, somehow good people, well, that feels pretty bad. Because you don't want somebody that you respect, or at least think is normal, to be judging you. That feels terrible. They don't exist. They don't exist. That thing that somebody said, it was sad. The words exist, but there's no such thing as an unbroken person saying that kind of stuff. Always remember the basket case theory. That's trick one. Everybody's broken. Always remember the basket case theory. No complete people, just broken people. Always remember the basket case theory. That's trick one. Everybody's broken. They are just completely broken. And you should have pity on them. have pity on them, and your first thought should be empathy, not feeling bad. So that's your first trick. Remember the basket case theory? Nobody's good. It just doesn't exist. And trust me, the older you get, the more people you meet, the more you'll know this is true. There are no complete people, just broken people. The more broken they are, the more they're going to come after you, because they need that. They need to push you down so that they can feel good for today.
These stories of mythology are simply trying to express a truth that can't be grasped any other way.
I'll be damned.
It's the edge, the interface between what can be known and what is never to be discovered, because it is a mystery transcendent of all human research. The source of life. What is it? No one knows. It's important to live life with a knowledge of its mystery and of your own mystery. And it gives life a new zest, a new balance, a new harmony to do this. What is it that life is? I find thinking in mythological terms has helped people visibly. You can see it happen. It erases anxieties, puts them in accord with the inevitables of their life, and they can see the positive values of what, the negative aspects of what is positive. It's whether you're going to say no to the serpent or yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent or yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living. It's whether you're going to say no to the serpent, yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent, yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living. Dragons represent greed, really. The European dragon guards things in his cave, and what he guards are heaps of gold and virgins. And he can't make use of either of them, but he just guards. There's no vitality of experience, either of the value of the gold or of the female whom he's guarding there. Psychologically, the dragon is one's own binding of oneself to one's ego, and you're captured in your own dragon cage. The power of the psychiatrist is to break that dragon, open him up, so that you can have a larger field of relationships. It's whether you're going to say no to the serpent or yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent or yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living. Whether you're going to say no to the serpent, yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent, yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living. The real dragon is in you. That's your ego holding you in. What I want, what I believe, what I can do, what I think I love, and all that. What I regard as the aim of my life and so forth. It might be too small. It might be that which pins you down. And if it's simply that of doing what the environment tells you to do, it certainly is pinning you down. And so the environment is your dragon as it reflects within yourself. As it reflects within yourself. As it's whether you're going to say no to the serpent or yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent or yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living. Whether you're going to say no to the serpent, yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No to the serpent, yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive. It's whether you're going to say no to the serpent or yes to the serpent. It's easy as that. No serpent. Yes, yes to the serpent. The adventure of being alive, of living.
It's interesting that some people find science so easy and others find it kind of dull and difficult. Especially kids, you know, some of them are just eat it up. And I don't know why it is. It's the same perhaps for all subjects. For instance, lots of people love music and I never could carry a tune. I lose a great deal of pleasure out of that. And I think people lose a lot of pleasure who find science dull. In the case of science, I think that one of the things that make it very difficult, it takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all crazy things that things really are like. Takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all the crazy things that things really are like. Nothing's really as it seems. We're used to get, you know, hot and cold, and all that hot and cold is the speeds that the atoms are jiggling. If they jiggle more, it corresponds to hotter, and colder is jiggling less. So if you have coffee or something sitting on a table, and the atoms are jiggling a great deal in the coffee, and they bounce against the cup, and the cup then gets shaking, and the atoms in the cup shake, and they bounce against the saucer, and the heat heats the cup and heats everything else. Hot thing spreads its heat into other things by mere contact, because the atoms that are jiggling a lot in the hot thing shake the ones that are jiggling only a little bit in the cold thing, so that the heat, we say, goes into the cold thing, it spreads. But what's spreading is just jiggling and irregular motions, which is easy to kind of understand. It takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all crazy things that things really are like. It takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all crazy things that things really are like. And if you're used to balls bouncing, you know they slow up and stop after a while. But we have to imagine with the atoms a perfect elasticity. They never lose any energy. Every time they bounce, they keep on bouncing. They're perpetually moving. And that the things that happen when we say something loses energy, if a ball comes down and bounces, it shakes irregularly some of the atoms in the floor. And then when it comes up again, it leaves some of those atoms moving, jiggling. So as it bounces, it's passing its extra energies, its extra motions, to little patches on the floor each time it bounces, and loses a little each time, until it settles down, we say, as if all the motion has stopped. But what's left is the floor is shaking more than it was before, and the atoms in the ball are shaking more than they were before. At the organized motion of all these atoms moving the same way, falling down, and the quiet floor is now transformed into a ball sitting on the ground. But all that emotion is still there in a form of the jiggling of the floor, which is a little bit warmer. But anybody who's hammered a great deal on something knows that it's true, that if you pound something, you know, like you could feel the temperature difference, it heats up. It heats up simply because you're jiggling. It takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all crazy things that things really are like. It takes a lot of imagination. It takes a lot of imagination. It's very hard to imagine all crazy things that things really are like.
myself up a new life there.
Meaningwave, helping you achieve your potential in this lifetime.
Your journey into a glorious new life is just beginning.
Would you not notice? Music is important.
This picture of atoms is a beautiful one, that you can keep looking at all kinds of things this way. I find myself trying to imagine all kinds of things all the time, and I get a kick out of it, just like a runner gets a kick out of sweating.